Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Good morning. Good morning, Jeff. How are you, man?
I'm feeling good this morning.
All right, guys, welcome to the Morning Woodward Show. We got a great show for you planned today. Kennedy out, unfortunately, but she'll be back tomorrow. No worries. We can just get it all started with what went down last night. Jeff, walk me through. Pistons beat the Rockets. It got a little close late, but one guy, you can say his name. I don't have to. One guy kind of showed that his game translates maybe just a little better than the other. Walk me through last night's game.
Yeah, it ain't no secret. If you were watching last night, the Pistons, obviously, they got off to a hot start, got the lead early, and Cade got into foul trouble. Same with Isaiah Stewart, of course. He only played a limited amount of minutes, had like 5 fouls. But Cade Cunningham left early. You could tell the team struggled to create offense with him not on the floor. But as soon as Cade got back on the floor, you saw the difference and the effect he has on the basketball court. But, they had plenty of poor shot selection last night, the Pistons. Like, Jeremy Grant had 21 of his 35 in the third, which really was the big reason the Pistons propelled into a comfortable lead. He made some tough shots. Cade looked good, especially considering it's really just a handful of games he's played so far coming back from that ankle injury. And if you look at the statistics, every game he's played, he's gotten better and better and better. And, of course, you play the Rockets, big matchup for him, and he has his best game. So it was great to see that. Hit 4 for 8 from 3. Looked comfortable shooting from downtown. Would like him to kind of attack the rim more, which we'll get into that. But through an 11-game sample size, this Pistons team, this team struggles to shoot the ball. Cade might be their best shooter, which is honestly sad. They lost that spacing. Sadiq Bey looks like he's struggling a whole lot, hesitating a whole lot. Last season led all rookies in three-pointers by a landslide, and this season he just can't seem to find a shot. So that's a problem, but I'm sure he'll figure it out. 48 of 90. Okay, so the Pistons have 97 field goals. 48 of them were three-point attempts. So if you look at the fact that your backup center is a three-point shooter strictly, and Isaiah Stewart didn't have the game we would hope he would have, that's what happens. I mean, you don't really have a paint presence on this Pistons team. Really, I mean, you have a lot of guys that can get to the rack, but no size. And they did, battle on the boards last night, but Christian Wood, you could tell they were dealing with him early. He was a problem. They don't really have this. I think Jeremy Grant was guarding him early. But you could tell by just watching the game last night. Jalen Green led his team in minutes. Cade was 4th. And he looked better, had a more impact on the game. Yeah, Jalen Green made some tough shots, also forced plenty of tough shots. And you could just tell the separation between the two. Cade has a more complete game. You saw that defensively, had a steal or two, a block. He was just all over the floor, and he's a big part of what the Pistons are able to do. When he leaves the floor, it's a dramatic drop-off. But if you look at the Pistons in terms of their season, it is a marathon, not a race. I mean, they got their second win of the season. They got to start racking up some more. Hopefully that is behind Cade as he starts playing even better. But Jalen Green last night, I got to talk about the moment where he dunked on Cade, talked his you-know-what, got the technical foul. And since then, Adam, the Pistons were in the lead ever since. It seemed like that ignited the Pistons.
Give me the silent killer all day than the one that just runs his mouth.
After that moment.
Jalen Green had a good game, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
I think that my biggest problem with probably the last 3 rookie classes is they all think they're Steph Curry. Jalen Green has no business taking 11 three-point shots. He just doesn't. There's like 2, maybe 3 people in the league that I could justify 11 three-point attempts. Steph Curry and Damian Lillard. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Anybody else? You're going to actually allow on your team to take 11 threes?
He hit 8. That's it. Like, he hit 8 earlier in the season, and he must feel like, all right, I hit 8, so
yeah, but
keep jacking him up.
That's too much. But to be fair to Jalen Green, he had a damn good game. But late, when it counted, if you're not scoring, what are you doing for me?
He had 0 points in the fourth quarter.
You're not playing defense for me. You're not scoring in the fourth. What are you doing for me? Cade, multiple assists, multiple points, a steal, all in the fourth quarter. The guy was everywhere, rebounding, doing everything, playing defense. That is the makeup of a superstar. The one that is down early, and we all saw this. I mean, Jalen Green came out swinging in the second quarter.
Yep.
I mean, he started to really get going, and Cade was kind of pedestrian, had like 5 points at the time, and Jalen Green's going off, and then we all see the dunk, and everyone's going crazy, and it's like, no, I got this. Cade Cunningham is mature beyond his years, and I'll take that. I'll take that over the egotistical superstar. You need an ego to be a superstar, don't get me wrong. And I think Cade has it. But the way he carries himself on the court is going to translate to what you've always wanted in Detroit on your basketball team, which is an alpha superstar that can lead by example, not just let's say, the prototype like a James Harden, a Russell Westbrook. The me, about me, my numbers. I need to look good. I need to win an MVP. I need to do this. I need to do that. Cade Cunningham is not about that.
Yep.
He may achieve those individual awards, but I promise you it won't come at the expense of the team. And I think that's my biggest takeaway, is he'll get better. Jalen Green will get better. But I think Detroit got the one that translates over time into more wins. And I don't think there's a better position or a better outcome that could have happened from last night. Like, what could have gone worse or better? I don't think anything could have gone better. What, you wanted Cade to hit more points? He finished with 20. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. What more could you ask for from a rookie this early on a 1-8 team heading into the night? Now they're 2-8. It's not bad. It's not bad. They got through their tough schedule to start the year. It was brutal. Cade's getting his legs under him, and now you're hoping over the next few games, Jeff, that he really starts to have a night like this on a consistent basis. Mm-hmm. And if he does that, he's a superstar. It's that simple.
Definitely. And I want to bring up one player specifically that, Cade Cunningham, he got his love. The guy played a great game last night with only 30 minutes played. He's going to get upwards of 35 minutes. He has more to show, so I'm excited for that. Killian Hayes, last night, in 31 minutes, he took 4 shot attempts, passed up a ton of open layups. Like, this is a problem. Like, you're a starting point guard, and you're taking 4 shots for the entirety of the game. And you could say, well, he's a playmaker. He had 3 assists. So, what are we expecting out of Killian Hayes? Like, I'm a big fan of him. I own his jersey. I wear his jersey proud. Wore it a week or two ago. Big fan of his. But Killian Hayes has been. I love the duo of Killian and Cade backcourt. I love it. You got 2 guys who can create open shots. I want Killian to be more aggressive. Go 1 for 8. Take more attempts, because he made the first 3 of the game, splashed a corner 3, and after that took 2 more threes for the entirety of the game. So I need more out of Killian Hayes. I know he has it in him, because Cade can't do it all by himself. Jeremy Grant was a great help last night, dropping his 35, but at the same time, he's not going to give you 35 all the time. So you're going to need Sadiq Beys of the world. You're going to need Isaiah Stewart not playing 15 minutes, getting in foul trouble. So it's going to take more than that. And Cade
what
Cunningham,
do you really expect from Stewart in the future? 4 points and 8 rebounds. I mean, what? If he has 6 points and 8-9 rebounds a game, I'm kind of happy with that.
No, the stat sheet, 4 points, 8 rebounds. But if you watch the game, he was leaving early, and they would bring in Kelly Olynyk. And as much as I like Kelly Olynyk, but he's a 3-point marksman. He's not a guy who's gonna dominate the boards and be that defensive anchor for you. Isaiah Stewart is essentially trying to be that. I mean, he's undersized, but 15 minutes, played a majority of his minutes in the fourth quarter. I mean, he was out for the first period, essentially most of it, and the second period they kind of just rested him. But I'd like to see him play a lot more. But like you said, I mean, that's all you're expecting out of Isaiah Stewart, regardless. I mean, I want a double out of him. He had 8 rebounds, so he's almost there. I just want to see him play more minutes, because when he's on the floor, you saw how he was affecting shots last night. Jalen Green couldn't. I think Jeremy Grant blocked Jalen Green. Isaiah Stewart blocked him. It was all over the place. So
looking at last night, just big picture, this is why this team is going to struggle to score more than 100 points every night. You can't take 48 threes. Look at your team. Jeremy Grant, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Cade Cunningham, Killian Hayes, Kelly Olynyk, Corey Joseph. This isn't a team of 3-point marksmen. It just isn't. And when you take more than half of your shots from the field beyond the 3-point mark, that is troubling.
Yeah.
Last night,
when you're not a good
how many
team.
threes you hit? Where's the number I'm looking for? Last night you hit 16 threes. Out of 48, you shot 33%. It's not awful. It's not great either. It's average. slightly maybe below average. On a given night, you want to shoot anywhere between 38 and 40% really from three. But 48 attempts. If you take away 2 to 3 3-pointers, that is a completely different ball.
Yeah.
You can't rely on the three. Don't pull a Mike D'Antoni on us. It's not going to work. Don't do it. I don't like it. I don't think that's how this team is built. I think Cade is the only one. Prime example. He went 4 for 8 from three, so it was kind of his night, but I don't want Cade attempting 8 threes a night. The same way I don't want Jalen Green attempting 11. I think it's too much. Unless you can actually hit that shot at 40, 42, 43%, don't bother.
Yeah.
Get to the lane, especially Cade. You can get to the lane basically whenever you want.
Yeah, 6'8".
Get to the free throw line.
He's got great size. Yeah.
I think it's a bit much, but that was the Pistons game last night. The first matchup between Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham. Probably going to have to watch a lot more over the coming years, but I think you walk away last night as a Pistons fan with a little smirk on your face.
Oh, yeah. Beat him away on the road. I can't wait till Jalen comes to Detroit. It's going to be entertaining.
He's going to get rattled by the home crowd.
He's going to get rattled, so
absolutely.
It's only going to get worse.
Absolutely. All right, well, we got to head to break. When we get back, Michigan opened up their college basketball season last night against Buffalo. It kind of got close late, but we'll recap the entire game when we get back. But before we go, Jeff, please tell us about Northwestern Tech.
Listen, guys like Jalen Green, I'm just joking. Jalen Green's a good player, but other guys that, your careers might not be working out for you. You come over to Northwestern Tech because you could start a new career in an industry that is always essential. It's the heating and cooling industry. Learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. With mortgage interest rates unbelievably low, the stakes to find your new home have never been higher. And that's why Hall Financial's exclusive realtor network allows us to connect you with a top-rated realtor in your area, making sure you take on the housing market and win. Hall Financial has earned over 4,000 five-star reviews because of our technology and our commitment to closing your loan fast. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. We got a great topic lined up for you right now. Michigan Wolverines basketball team open up against Buffalo last night. Jeff, they win 88-76. Kind of give me your takeaways a little bit early on. They dominated the first half.
Yeah.
Second half, it got really close. Closer than you would have liked. It was within, I believe, a 2-possession game at one point late in the fourth quarter, and then Michigan eventually pulled away. But kind of a Jekyll and Hyde game. First half, 51 points, and they only gave up 36. Second half, they only score 37, and they give up 40. But, defensively, they were consistent throughout the game, but offensively, it really went away second half.
No, it definitely did. I mean, Juwan Howard, they picked it up. They had a great first half. Second half struggled a little bit. But, listen, I want to say this. Michigan, thank God Hunter Dickinson came back for his sophomore year because he's special, man. 7'1", can score on the inside consistently at 27 points for him. But more so the class around him. He's the anchor for this Michigan team. But Caleb Houston, another great player. Diabate showed flashes. Like, this team is stacked. I mean, we can't sit here and lie to you. And for their first game of the season, we expect turnovers. I mean, yeah, they turned the ball over. But this team is going to progressively get better game to game. And they beat a Buffalo. Their real test comes against Oregon State in about a week or two. But other than that, only ranked opponent, by the way, but in the first couple games. But anyway, the main thing I took away from last night is this team has some dogs. And Juwan Howard is the perfect coach for these guys because you bring in a coach like Juwan Howard for a multitude of reasons. His pedigree, his ability to communicate to players, and what he's going to be able to do with this class, with this stacked class. I'm talking 2 5-star recruits with Houston, of course, just being a 5-star recruit already coming out of high school, and the product he's already developed into being able to shoot the 3 ball, and his potential's endless. And then you have your anchor in Hunter Dickinson, who returned for a sophomore year, who's easily going to be a first-round pick this year. Obviously came back to improve his draft stock. So it's going to be interesting to see these guys play, man. And more importantly, if I had to pick, if you had a gun to my head, I'm easily going Michigan. Listen, Michigan State they got a good squad, but this squad is 5-star recruit. They're different. They have players that are NBA ready already, it seems like. So it's going to be interesting to see this Michigan team, go against in the NCAA tournament later in the year. They're going to make some noise. But last night, good start. It was a good start to the marathon. They get their first W, and even though they didn't play well in the second half, you can take a lot of positive things away from it.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head when you said you were glad that Hunter Dickinson came back because he made a huge impact last night.
Yeah.
I mean, he was essentially unguardable. I mean, what did he finish the game with? 27 points, 6 rebounds, super efficient from the field. I want to say over 60%. That's Michigan. Eli Brooks, you saw the senior leadership on that team. Hunter Dickinson coming back, kind of taking more of a leadership role, stepped up opening night, 27 points, leading the team. Some struggling freshmen out on the court. That's how you handle business.
Yep.
I thought it was really good. I thought they were professional last night. Yes, they struggled in the second half, but it's college basketball.
First game of the season.
There's a ton of young kids playing together for the first time. They will get better as the season goes on, but more importantly, Jeff, what I want to know is, moving forward, obviously Michigan are going to be Big Ten favorites. And they're going to be one of those teams that you're projecting out for the rest of the year that, hey, we're going to be a number 1 seed come March. Are you still – is that your expectation? Are you really sold that they're going to replicate last year's success, especially how dominating they were to start the season?
Yeah, I think they have to, especially considering the class they have. I mean, in college basketball, bottom line is you need good players to win games. That's how it is. That's the Duke the Duke way, the Kentucky way. I mean, and you saw what Michigan's been able to do. Juwan Howard in the recruiting classes he's been able to get. So no doubt they got to make some noise. Even I think they have a better team than last year by far. I mean, they have more 2 5-star recruits. Hunter Dickinson's returning. Like, no doubt in my mind, the Michigan, the floor for this team should be probably, I want to say Elite Eight, but it might even be Final Four. Like, this team's good. This team's very good, especially looking around the talent around the college basketball. They're topping. I mean, this isn't State with Cassius Winston. You know what I mean? Like, this is they're clear-cut favorites in the Big Ten, in my opinion.
Houston, you know, Forrest has a great point. Houston looked good last night.
He did.
He looked like his game just goes right into the NBA next year.
Definitely.
He's not coming back. I mean, this is what happens, though, when you have a top recruiting class. This isn't the Jim Beeline kind of recruiting process. This is the Juwan Howard recruiting process. You are getting the top players in the country. Mm-hmm. And there's a good chance that one of them that you snag are good enough to be in the league by their sophomore year.
It's like the Coach K equation. You get guys for 1 year, the next tournament, the next NCAA tournament the next year, whole new roster. Most of the guys left already.
Calipari does it.
Yeah,
it's so common in college. I think at Michigan you're kind of like, you're not used to it because you're used to having the 3-4 year seniors, the guys that just
Isaiah Livers,
even Franz Wagner, all the players prior, Trey Burke even. I mean, these guys stayed multiple years. It wasn't just I'm a freshman, I'm out. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we'll have to see if that's going to be a problem in the future. And I don't want to say it's a bad problem to have because that means you have premier talent every single year. But I think maturity as a team goes a long way. If you can keep a core 6, a core 7, you're going to be a problem for the next 3-4 years. That's just the reality, and you can always upgrade and upgrade. That's why Gonzaga is so good.
Yeah.
And they're consistent more than anything. Gonzaga is so good and consistent because they bring back the sophomores. They bring back the juniors. And they all come back for the senior year. That's why they're so good. Can Juwan Howard pull that off with these type of players? Maybe, maybe not. But you know what? If anyone in the country can keep these guys another year, it's going to be him. And I'll tell you really the main 2 reasons why. One, of course, we all know it's the standard across all of college basketball, the NIL. But more importantly than that, Juwan Howard has ties to the league. He's played in the league. He's won at the highest level in the league. He can look an 18, 19-year-old in the face and say, you are not ready. And if you want to learn the hard way, go to the league. If you want to come back here, improve your draft stock, get more money for your family next year, that's what I think you should do. I think he can have that conversation with the 18, 19-year-old that maybe some of the coaches, not only in the Big Ten, but across the country really can't.
100%.
And I think that's where Michigan's going. I'm curious to see how the one and done plays out in Ann Arbor. Is that what the trend is going to be? I don't think so. I think Juwan's going to do his best. I just think it's maybe a reality that you kind of have to accept, though.
Yeah, you have to accept the fact that, this man is going to steal recruits from, Michigan State. Like, Juwan Howard is a coach everybody wants to play for. Like you just said, I mean, NBA experience. He's won at the highest level. You could, a lot of people, you come to Juwan Howard, you're immediately coachable because he gets it. I mean, you're not going to tell Juwan Howard why he's wrong. The guy has a pedigree, and it's just that's a problem for teams like other teams in the Big Ten, teams around the country, because Michigan is I think this is just the beginning for them. They're going to land more top recruits as they kind of get out results. Like if they make some noise in the NCAA tournament this year, expect another 5-star class next year. Like it's going to be a repetitive cycle, and I think this is just the beginning for Juwan Howard.
Yeah, look, Juwan Howard, again, he was a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. He was an NBA champion. Over a dozen years in the league. The dude played for a while. He came into Michigan, a lot of people ripped on him. And since he's really shut them up. So now you're going into his 3rd year. Last year, what'd they start, Jeff? 19-0?
Yeah.
19-1,
Yeah.
20-1, something like that. Something along those lines.
Big run.
They started so well. And look, if players like Houston and some of these upcoming freshman classes, if they're going to be one and done, I think that's where you're going to see the inconsistent, we're in the Sweet 16 one year, the Final Four the next, and then we're out in the round of 32, and then we're back to the Elite 8. I'm not saying it's easy every year to get to a certain level, but when you're a Gonzaga and you can return your team, and it's a real team, it's not just, hey, Jeff, I've never played with you before, but we'll figure this out as the season goes.
Right.
I think that would be extremely, extremely beneficial. I think there's a lot of work for Juwan Howard ahead, but I want to pivot a little bit. Let's just go kind of big picture now, college basketball out in Ann Arbor. In the future, do we see Juwan Howard as a Krzyzewski, I don't want to say a beeline, but some of the greats in terms of how long they stay with the program? Is Juwan Howard a 10, 15, 20-year guy? Or is he the 4 or 5 years and he's probably going back to the league and taking a head coaching job? It's his alma mater. So,
yeah.
I mean, from my naive point of view, I'm thinking this is the dream job for him.
Definitely.
I mean, it's a dream job for Jim Harbaugh. He doesn't want to go anywhere else unless he really has to. So if you can win at your alma mater, I don't think there's a better feeling than that. So is Juwan a 10, 15, 20-year guy with 5, 6, 7 Final Four appearances, multiple national championships? Is he that guy, or is he 5, 6, maybe 7 years, and then he's off to the league?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's tough because with Coach K, Jim Boeheim, the word consistency gets brought up a whole lot with those guys. Juwan Howard, thus far, has had a great start to his career at Michigan. It just depends. What does he do in 5 years? And so far, recruiting-wise, he gets it. He's up there with the rest of them because he has something that they don't. He's a former player. He's a former NBA player. So the recruiting will take care of itself, Adam, but the consistency is key. Like if he makes NCAA an appearance this year, obviously he will. How far he makes it, yet to be determined. If he makes some noise and he continues to make noise, players are going to find him. I mean, he's going to have elongated success because, like I said before, you need good players that win.
No. He's already proven he's a 15, 20-year guy. I think where I'm going with this is, do we see that actually playing out? In the sense of, is he going to go somewhere else? Is this a guy that's going to look? Is this a guy that's going to look at the Miami head coaching job in 5 years if Spoelstra leaves? Is this a guy that's going to look somewhere in the league like, all right, I want to be a part of that rebuild, or hey, I want to take over this team and go win a championship? I don't know, and it's way too early to say.
Yeah, it depends.
Maybe I'm extremely ahead of myself right now. But I'm curious because I really believe genuinely that Juwan Howard is that 15, 20, even 25-year guy. I think he has it in him. I think that's his character. I think that's kind of the man he is. And when you're a guy that can recruit the way he does, you'll always have success up in Ann Arbor. Michigan will be a dominant basketball program for however long it wants to be, given that Juwan Howard is there. He's already proven he can recruit better than anybody.
Right.
So
yeah,
I think I'm curious how it plays out. That's all.
Well, let's say Juwan Howard. Obviously, the successes will be there at Michigan. It just depends. In 10 years, 6 years, if Miami calls or New York calls or any of these teams call, that's not. I guess the only really person who knows that decision is Juwan, of course. Yeah. Because I'm sure it sits in the back of his mind. Like, what if I made that jump? I mean, Coach K never did, but
he's getting paid handsomely
too.
What are his goals, right? If he wins the Natty at Michigan, is that it?
I mean,
or does he want to contribute his career, his life, post post NBA to making Michigan one of the, let's say, the most prestigious basketball programs. I don't know what his goals are, and and only he'll know that. But I think I'm curious by him. I'm fascinated.
It's an
a little
interesting
bit.
question,
Because if he is, I don't think we've ever seen that outside of the Bo Schembechler era, and that was in a different sport. So I think that's really good for the program. Michigan State have benefited from Izzo. They'll eventually have to move on, and they're probably going to go through a 10, 12-year cycle of new head coach every 3-4 years, and then the alma mater guy comes back or something similar, and he turns it around. I think that's the play. But regardless, we have 3 minutes. I want to acknowledge the chat a little bit. Chat's bringing up a few points about Stafford and Goff. Jeff, do you think it's fair to hold Jared Goff accountable?
Oh, yeah,
for
definitely.
not making his receivers better?
Definitely, because we're used to Stafford. That's the standard that was in Detroit for at least my entire time of watching the Detroit Lions, for the most part. And you got a guy like Jared Goff. Yes, he doesn't have a lot of help, but he can't get his receivers the football, and that's an obvious thing if you watch any Lions game this season. And it does fall on the quarterback. He's the most important player on the field. And more importantly, that question, I want to ask you this because someone mentioned this in the chat. I thought it was an interesting question. I want to hear your opinion on this. Someone said, Brad Holmes, year one, and I can already say he's worse than Bob Quinn, at least this year. I'm like, is that fair to really say? And what did Bob Quinn do in his first year?
Okay, look, I'm going to be honest with everybody here because you guys all refer me as the negative Nancy and the Mr. Lions hater. But Brad Holmes took over an awful gig. The cap was broken. The players that were getting paid were pretty damn awful. There wasn't much flexibility. He had to restructure Jared Goff's deal just so he could sign the rookie class. He made the trade. Look, he's made some moves that you kind of question, that Trinity Benson. But honestly, I sat up here and said, what the hell does this do? Why do we care about Trinity Benson? It's a rebuild. This guy will not be here in 2-3 years. Same with Josh Reynolds. I actually think Reynolds likely may even stay. Who knows? I think that's a kind of Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of guy you want on your team, but you still need a 1 and 2 receiver, and I don't think you have that right now. So I think it's a bit hard on Brad Holmes. I think it's way too early. I think if there's anyone you should question in a fair way, it is the coaching staff. Hey, guys, I can acknowledge the roster is bad. Aaron Glenn is the only one giving me something. And that's not even with his starters. You guys have all of the offense available to you outside of the center. And you had him for a majority of the year, keep in mind. And you couldn't get the offense rolling. You would come out scripted, look good for one drive, and then it'd be done for the rest of the game. What's going on? Anthony Lynn. Now Dan Campbell allegedly wants to be involved. And I mean this with all the respect in the world. Why the hell should Dan Campbell get involved? I thought he was a leader of men. I thought the people around, guys, I understand when you're in a leadership position, you want to go around and, hey, can I help? What can I do to help you get better? Something's going on. I get it. I appreciate that aspect of it. But this is where the league is going. The OCs are becoming the best head coaches in the NFL. I can give you the short list, guys. It's not the defensive coordinators that are translating. Even Robert Saleh, as much as I may like him, or I may think he's doing a decent job out in New York given the situation, it's the OCs that are translating into the better head coaches. Why? Because they can dictate and change the game more than a defensive coordinator can.
And Brandon Staley's kind of an exception. Former quarterback. He's a defensive coordinator, but he gets the offensive side of the ball. Gets it. He
worked 1 year under Sean McVay. Yeah. He was the defensive coordinator. But you can go back. This guy is not like one of those defensive gurus that's like a Bill Belichick, very stubborn. This is a very open-minded, optimistic, very innovative guy.
Talking to Herbert.
This is a guy that looks at data not in a sense of, data says we should go for it on 4th and inches because it's a 67% chance we do it. No, it's like, what's the personnel we have here? And do we believe in the personnel on top of the analytics? This is a guy that I think is really going to be in the league for a long time. But regardless, we got to hit the break. When we get back, Mike Tomlin made some interesting comments on Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. I want to get to that. But before we go, guys, MyBookie is where it's at for the NFL season. We are in Week 10, Thursday Night Football tonight, guys. Bet from anywhere, anytime using MyBookie. Sign up today using code Woodward. They'll match you dollar for dollar. You put in $100, they'll give you $100. You put in $200, they will give you $200. And more importantly, if you already have a MyBookie account, guys, I have a way you can make some great money. MyBookie is going to be offering a 250% bonus when you submit a referral link to one of your friends. So let's say I want to introduce Jeff into betting. I'm going to give him my link to MyBookie, and he's going to sign up, and let's say he puts in $150. Well, I'll tell you what, boys. I'm getting $150. Thank you, Jeff. And all I had to do was send him a link, and you have to sign up using code Woodward. Very simple. Straightforward. Gotta love it. Free money, guys, on the table. Again, bet from anywhere, anytime using MyBookie. But please, if you have a gambling problem, call the Michigan Gambling Problem Hotline at 1-800-270-7117.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Guys, we're going to talk about Mike Tomlin and the comments he made about the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. And this is why I love Mike Tomlin so much. As much as I may dog him, and, a lot of people think he's overrated, I think he's probably one of the best head coaches in the NFL in the last 20 years.
Definitely.
I mean, what he's been able to do, guys, you're talking 15-year span, not a single losing season.
I was going to say, how is that overrated?
Well, I think, delivering in the playoffs.
Oh,
but,
true.
To be fair to him, you go against Tom Brady, what do you want me to do? But regardless, he was quoted the other day saying, their record, as in the Detroit Lions, their record is irrelevant to me. We're in the National Football League. This isn't college football. We're not playing an FCS team. We're not playing a Group 5 conference team this week. This is not our homecoming game. We better step into the stadium and respect them as a peer that they are. They're professionals. They're compensated that way, players and coaches. We realize there's a fine line between drinking wine and squashing grapes in this league. And then he went on further to say, regardless of all the things you just outlined in regards to the Lions' history of, not being successful, we're prepared to earn it daily. Meaning we're not so much caught up in that they're an 0-8 football team. This is an 0-8 football team, and we're going to treat them like an 0-0 football team.
Yeah.
And we're going to treat ourselves not as a 5-3 football team, but as a 0-0 football team. They are our equal. And now you're kind of heading into the game, and it's like, Jeff, I think one of my favorite things we've done all year together is narrative talk, right?
Yep.
Narrative talk going into a game. What's the narrative this week with the Lions? It's not, will they get their first win? I think people are tired of that now.
Yeah.
Because you kind of blew it against the Bears. You blew it against the
Eagles one was a hard shot.
Even the Ravens to an extent, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, get me through the year as a fan. And now you're like, well, from Pittsburgh, they're 5-3. I will tell you right now, they can. It's not even that they can't afford to lose to the Lions.
Won't.
They better not
Go 5-4 now.
I mean, if you fall to 5-4 in that division, you could easily be last at 5-4.
Yep.
You can't afford it. You don't want the Browns to jump you, the Bengals to jump you, and now the Ravens still on top. Ravens played tonight, obviously, but still, regardless, you got to win this game. 6-3 is a must. The schedule's not going to get any easier for Pittsburgh. You got to take advantage of Detroit. You got to take advantage, and I like Mike Tomlin's attitude going into the week. But what do you make of his comments overall? I think it just speaks to the professional he is, and kind of walk me through, again, narrative. Detroit, you lose, what's the outcome? Pittsburgh, if you lose, it's going to be a tough Monday.
Yeah, no, Mike Tomlin, in terms of his comments, he's the gold standard, for being a head coach. What his beliefs and his process, especially getting ready for a winless football team, and his just him going into the details and even struggling against the Chicago Bears this week on a short week, Monday, now playing on Sunday. You got to love it. You got to respect it. What Mike Tomlin's been able to do in Pittsburgh, I mean, aside from all the playoff, lack thereof playoff success, besides the Super Bowl, ever since then, he's been the gold standard for being a head coach, and the consistency he's been able to do with Ben Roethlisberger and his decline over the last couple of years. But coming into this week, narrative-wise, I think you hit it right on the head. The Steelers cannot afford. They have 2 back-to-back games against the Bears, 2 NFC North teams, the Bears and the Lions, 2 easily winnable teams. If you're looking at it from Pittsburgh's point of view, they have to get it done. And they gave up big plays to Justin Fields. They're coming into this game against Jared Goff, and they know what to expect out of Jared Goff, a guy who's not mobile. He's not going to give you problems like Justin Fields did with his legs. Doesn't have, I would say, an arm. I mean, Justin Fields made some beautiful throws on Monday. I don't see Jared Goff making, just because he doesn't have, number one, the talent around him to really air it out like that, and number two, he just can't throw the football like that. So it's going to be very different this week. The Lions are just kind of stringing along. They're coming off a bye week. They're going to be extra prepared. But if you're a winless football team, man, like you said, the Eagles game is, you can only do so much of, let's get our first win this week. You got a team right now coming into our house that is struggling. That's over. Now it's just, let's just compete. Let's try and get a W wherever that is. I'm going to the Thanksgiving game against Chicago. I'm hoping they get a W then.
Don't be a jinx.
Honestly, I may be a jinx. I don't even know. I'm not going to.
You want to wear my Lions jersey that I have at home?
Oh, you do? You got one?
Yeah, it says rebuilding since 57.
Are you serious?
No.
I was just saying, please.
No,
I would love to wear that. But anyway, no.
I plan on showing up to a Lions game this year, and I think they're going to kick me out.
Yo, definitely.
They're already trying to cancel me on social media.
Wearing that. You got to get that custom made. We'll find a way. To get that jersey.
I don't think they'll accept my billing information online. I'm sure that's already blocked. I'm going to try that later today. But regardless, I like where the chat's going on Penei Sewell. I want to switch a little bit.
Yeah.
Chat feels a little uncomfortable right now. Penei Sewell moving back to right tackle, going into Pittsburgh now.
What's he got? TJ Watt?
Guys, we talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to reiterate my feelings. If you drafted Penei Sewell, Brad Holmes, to be a right tackle, I'm going to back off, and I'm going to say, okay, you made that decision. I can hold you accountable for it. But if you drafted him to be a right tackle, I think the logical play was to keep him at right tackle all year. Oh, but now we want to make him versatile and all this. Okay, that's fine. Like, you can mask it however you want. But if you're really telling me in a rebuild year, you couldn't convince the veteran to go to right tackle and keep the kid at left, something doesn't add up. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been wrong much this year. Maybe I'm just wrong on this one. But something isn't adding up, and it doesn't make sense to me. Oh, Adam, you're an idiot. You shouldn't know. They know what they're doing. Okay, whatever, guys. That's fine. But just remember what I told you. I'm not following the game plan here. Is Penei Sewell my future left tackle or my future right tackle? Oh, we just want him to be versatile just in case things happen. Last I checked, you pay a heavy price in the NFL for a Tyron Smith, a Jason Peters, the premier left tackles. That is the most coveted position in football.
Yep.
Now, unless you're trying to draft a left-handed quarterback that I don't know about, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, for example, I'll tell you something that does make sense to me that the Lions have done. The way they restructured Jared Goff's deal, okay. I totally understood it. I knew he was already going to be here for 2 years, whether I liked him or not. So I just accepted it. Jared, I'll see you next year, buddy. I don't mind. But you'll be gone after that. So I can see the future in terms of the quarterback position. I can see that they're likely going to take one either later in the rounds, or they might reach in the late first round. Who knows? Only they do. Or they take one the following year. Regardless. What's the plan with Penei Sewell? Did you draft him at number 7 to be your future left tackle? Yes or no? And I don't have an answer. Because it's, we're going to move him before the season because Taylor Decker got hurt. Back to left tackle, but he was always going to be our right tackle. That's the message we're getting? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I know, guys, it's easier for Decker to go back to left tackle. Wait, whoa. I like this comment. from D. Smitty. The muscle memory for Taylor Decker is for left tackle as opposed to Penei Sewell, who has the fresh legs, is an easier transition, and he's better than Nelson. Shut the F up about it and wait till the off season. All right, well, buddy, let me help you out a little bit here. I have a 3-game sample size, and I can only work with what I know. So what I know is in the 3 games that Penei Sewell had played in the preseason, he looked god-awful at right tackle. He just did. And then Adam, in the 8 games he's played at left tackle, 5 of them he's looked very good, and 3 he looked really bad. And that's a rookie. You expect the ups and downs.
Right.
Now, do I expect him to go out in Pittsburgh and have a great game at right tackle? No, I don't. And I'm not going to sit up here Monday and just slate him or slate Dan. I'm done. I'm done talking about this in the sense of I'm not going to change their minds. They're not going to listen. So I'm not even going to bother. And they can figure it out. And if they think it's so important that he needs to be versatile, then be my guest. But I'll take the 10, 12, 15-year left tackle who's top 3 in the league over a right tackle any day of the week. Whatever. If Penei Sewell was recruited as a right tackle, he should have been playing from day 1 at right tackle. And they should have figured out who was going to play left tackle. It's that simple.
Yeah.
If you brought him in to be a right tackle, he should have gotten 8 games of reps. He should have been practicing at the right all year. Not, we're going to move him to the left, and then we're going to put him back to the right. I don't know. It doesn't add up to me.
My man Cooper brings up a good point. I think Decker's coming back to build a catalog to show he's still not injured, so this can maximize him in a trade.
Yeah, they're going to trade him after June 1st. I really believe that. But again, you know it. And look, the guy is a proven left tackle in the league, Taylor Decker.
Yeah.
His value is there.
We're not discrediting him.
He's not going to go out in these next 6, 7, 8 games and just blow your mind away like, oh my goodness, Taylor Decker. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And even if he does, what is it going to increase his value by? Maybe a pick, if you're lucky, or maybe a late rounder additional. Your likely market is a 2nd and a 5th, a 3rd and a 3rd. I'm not sure. It's somewhere along those lines, though. You're not getting a first post June 1st. Why? Because the contract is no longer a problem. The cap hit is no longer a problem. But regardless, what time is it? Do we have to go to break? We do. All right. When we come back, we got to talk about the Aaron Rodgers situation. I don't know how you guys feel about this at home. Forget the vaccine side of it. I want to really talk about Roger Goodell and the punishment side of it because something isn't adding up for me. And I want to talk about it next. But before we go, Jeff, could you tell everybody about your friends at Lady Jane's?
Yes, I could. Well, Lady Jane's, all those out there that need a haircut, I have a place for you. It's Lady Jane's. Because, guys, let's be honest, we like simple stuff. I mean, we like football, preferably 5 days a week. We like things uncomplicated. And like Lady Jane's, for men, you walk in, you sign in, you sit down, you sit in one of these comfy chairs, watch your favorite sports teams on the televisions. Ladies take care of you, and before you know it, you're handsome and clean. So get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in any time of the week because it is wicked awesome.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you for joining us this morning. We got a very special guest coming up around 8:55, 8:56. Rob Murphy, the president of the Motor City Cruise, will be joining us for an exclusive interview on the morning show. So excited to talk about just the whole project, what's going on downtown. I'm really excited about it. But Jeff, Aaron Rodgers fined $14,000 along with Adam Lazard. The Packers fined $300,000. Your thoughts on, one, the punishment, and two, I'll kind of pitch you the ball underhand right now. So how are the Packers being punished when, if last I checked, every NFL team reports who is vaccinated and who isn't. The league knew he wasn't vaccinated. Why is he being punished, or why are the Packers being punished to this extent when it was Aaron Rodgers that sat up there and said, I'm immunized? And why is it that the media didn't bother to follow up on that statement? He literally stood up there and said, I'm immunized. All it took was maybe half a brain journalist to say, well, what do you mean by immunized?
Right. You know what, though? The big thing about this whole Aaron Rodgers situation is I think a majority of people, if not all people, are upset at Aaron. I'm not talking about the NFL and Roger Goodell, maybe even them as well, because he misled people. And you talk about the immunized. I mean, he mentioned that at the press conference. No reporter followed up with another question, and now they find out he's not vaccinated. Everyone feels misled. Everyone's ticked off. But unfortunately, the NFL doesn't have a fine for being misled. It doesn't happen. There is other fines, though, and Aaron and the Packers were fined accordingly. The Packers were fined $300,000 for everything with the whole situations with Aaron Rodgers and the COVID stuff. And Rodgers and Lazard were fined $15,000 basically for the Halloween party, despite being unvaccinated. And, you know, that I'm sure he'll donate to charity, whatever the case may be. But in terms of Aaron Rodgers, or the Packers getting the $300,000 fine, which I'm sure they'll take care of that. The Aaron Rodgers thing, like, what more do you need the NFL to do to appease the public? I mean, the public are so upset at Aaron for misleading them, and I get it. He kind of, you know, he hits you with a half blow. He kind of said half of what he was trying to say, like, yeah, I'm immunized, but I'm not vaccinated.
So do you have a problem with Rodgers or the Packers?
I mean,
I have a problem with Goodell.
I was going to say, I don't have a problem with that. I would say neither. I don't have.
Wait, can I say BS, Fish, on air or no?
Not the actual word.
You can say BS.
Oh, because the end of it. Yeah. Oh, that's right. All right.
You can just
is there like another way I can say it? All right, guys, basically what I'm saying is it's BS what Roger Goodell is doing. I mean, this is like how he handles domestic violence issues. Something is always different. It's never consistent. And when something happens for the first time, he doesn't know how to act. And look, I get it, being the commissioner of the NFL is probably a very, very difficult job, but he's paid handsomely to do a damn good job of it. So having said that, you're fining the Packers $300K for what? You already knew he wasn't vaccinated. The team knew. He knew. Everybody knew. You send a report weekly saying this man isn't vaccinated. What's the problem? Now because, there was a quote that was leaked, what? Before the season started? I'm immunized. What, he misled the media? Media should have had a follow-up question then if you had a problem with it.
Right.
One, why is he getting fined even $1? And two, I am really against what the Packers were fined. If anything, if you wanted to fine Aaron Rodgers $50K, $70K for whatever the reason.
I get the $15,000.
Maybe I could agree with it. But the fact that they find the Packers when they're the ones that actually report to you every week, hey, this is the people at our workplace that are vaccinated, and these are the people that aren't. He's the one who caused this, not the Packers. I just don't get it. And look where the Packers are. They're nowhere to be found on this. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers sat up there for 20 minutes and absolutely railed this organization before the season started. So
basically, I read into it a little bit, and apparently the Packers were fined because of, it was mainly had to do with Aaron Rodgers being around, number one, the facility without a mask. There was isolated instances of Rodgers and Alan Lazard at the facility failing to wear a mask.
I promise you, every single person that is vaccinated and unvaccinated in the NFL does not walk around the facility. There's at least one on every team that doesn't walk around the facility with their mask on at all times. I freaking guarantee it.
Right, I know.
So can we cut this is like my problem with Roger Goodell, man. This is the problem. It's a double standard. It just is.
Yeah, it is.
What's the punishment? Is it the punishment for the guy that broke protocol, or is the punishment for the team that, let's be honest, can you really mandate somebody to wear a mask at all times in the facility? I promise you there's one person on every single facility that isn't wearing their mask at all times at some point during the season. This is so garbage.
And even worse than that, the league actually threatened the Packers in this investigation, saying we may even there might be worse punishment in terms of loss of draft capital and stuff like that. I'm like, for what? Like, I think this is all blown out of the pretty much proportion, and it has to do with the fact that the league is righting their quote unquote wrongs, or just doing what the public, most of the public is wanting them to do right now. Because a lot of, you watch mainstream news or anybody, the majority of the public's angry at Aaron. The reason I'm not sure of, they're being misled is probably one of them. But to your point, like for misleading the media, misleading the viewers or the fans of NFL football, you deserve to be.
I would have preferred Aaron Rodgers to have gotten suspended for the game against Seattle, officially, or the next one too. That would have been the perfect punishment if you wanted to punish him. I don't care, but don't punish them for what? What'd the Packers do? Aaron Rodgers put them in this situation. If you try to tell me I need to wear a mask around the office and I choose not to, what are you going to do? You can't force me. It's not a mandate. And if it is in the NFL workplace, well, then I promise you can go check the security cameras at every single place around the NFL, every facility in Dallas, Allen Park. Go across the league. At some point throughout the first 10 weeks of the year, you're going to find somebody walking around the building, vaccinated or unvaccinated, without a mask on.
100%.
So every team should get fined $300,000.
Oh, and we see our
you just scared me.
That's our guy.
Oh, that's our guy?
Yeah,
awesome.
See some Motor City Crews walking in.
All right,
but
Rob Murphy joining us in the next 5 minutes. It's going to be exciting. Whew. All right, back to Aaron Rodgers.
I want to say this too with Aaron. The whole situation, and I get it. The NFL is doing what they have to do. I mean, but at the same time, do you like the $15,000 I get? Like, because he did attend the party without a mask on. So that is against the rules. You can't gather outside of events unvaccinated without a mask. But to your point, the $300,000 fine, I mean, and the draft, threatening the draft capital, it's...
Again, my biggest problem is if you're going to hold one person accountable, you have to hold everybody accountable. 100%. So whose fault is it? They're telling me that their protocols were broken. Okay? Understand. So who gets punished? The individual, the organization. It's just, at the end of the day, I just think the NFL do a really bad job of punishing and handing out fines. I think they're really inconsistent. I don't think it's not just about being fair. It's about being consistent. When you want to introduce them a domestic violence policy, you got to get people in that are, one, aware of the situation, and two, that understand what exactly is going on. You can't just ask people who have zero experience in this to, hey, I'm going to dish out a fine, I'm going to suspend you immediately. This doesn't work. And then when the next case happens, something else happens. Something completely different happens.
Yeah.
That is the NFL's biggest problem, is consistency in terms of punishment. But we got to head to break. When we get back, we are going to be joined by the president of the Motor City Crews, Rob Murphy. We're so excited for this when we get back. But, Jeff, could you please tell everybody at home about Guardian Alarm?
Yeah, Guardian Alarm, they get it. Good defense on and off the field, helps you feel secure. And Guardian Alarm has state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe, all with 24/7 local monitoring. Guardian Alarm has convenient features that let you check in on your home, control lights and temperatures, or even detect smoke or carbon monoxide. It will even let you lock and unlock your doors. Call 800-STAY-OUT today. That's 800-STAY-OUT today. Guardian Alarm has been trusted for over 90 years at keeping families safe.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. Did you know mortgage rates are still at generational lows? If you haven't refinanced your home loan yet, there's still time. Now is your second chance to refinance. You could lower your monthly payment, eliminate credit card debt, or even take cash out by using your home's equity. Call Hall Financial now to get started with your free 5-minute mortgage review. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you so much for joining us today on a beautiful Thursday morning. We are now joined by the president of the Motor City Crews himself, Rob Murphy. Rob, thank you so much for joining the show. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely.
We're excited you're here.
We're very excited you're here, and I'll get straight to it. I have a really interesting question for you. Obviously, you're a Detroit native. So far, really, not only the Motor City Crews, but the Pistons have really been heavy on community efforts. Can you walk me through, really, the next 3, 6, 12 months of the Motor City Crews, their efforts in the community, what you guys plan on doing to really probably stamp your foot in the ground here in the city of Detroit?
Yeah, well, I think for me, it started back when I was hired. It's been really, really gratifying to get the community involved. It started with our partnership, obviously with UAW being our biggest partner and sponsor. for the Motor City Cruise. And then we went out and talked to They Say Restaurant, Duo Restaurant, Elite Education. All of those are Detroit community-based partners who have done a lot in the community, and we were able to bring them on as a partner for the Motor City Cruise. But we'll continue to work with the local charities. We have a great brand of basketball, being the 5th professional sports franchise here in Detroit. Very affordable, for we can get people inside the building to watch the Stars of Tomorrow and continue to help grow the community as well, make them a huge part of it.
Absolutely. Rob, I do want to touch on your opening night. Dominated, Saban Lee, Luka Garza. I mean, it is a star-studded attraction, let's be honest. There's a few guys who could be playing in the NBA if they were in a different situation. So kind of walk us through the feeling in the building. You guys won your first game. It was a huge win. It really set the tone, hopefully, for a very successful year. But kind of the atmosphere, it's really different. I haven't seen anything like this really since, I want to say 2002, 2003 with the Pistons, where there was this kind of excitement and energy. And you're talking, this is the 5th now professional sport or professional sports team in Detroit.
Yeah.
The city's never really had anything like this. You could never really go out and watch the future. Right.
Well, it's a unique opportunity for us. Tom Gores in our leadership group, Aaron Tellum, Josh Brodelstein, Rich Haddad had the foresight of bringing this third pillar here to Detroit, and we're excited about it. You mentioned Luka, you mentioned Saban Lee, and Jamarco Pickett in particular. Those are guys that play for the Pistons. The G League and the Motor City Cruise in particular is to grow our young guys, to put them in position to be successful for us in the future. We're really fortunate to have those young guys, which started with the draft process in 2020, and then it continued this year through 2021. Our season opener on the road in Cleveland, obviously the road is always tough, but we talk about mindset and approach. And continuing to develop your game. And Saban Lee and Luka Garza both took that approach in our first game. And being in a situation where they'll play the bulk of the minutes, they want to continue to improve. They also want to show, everyone that they deserve to play at the next level. So Saban took it amongst himself to prepare himself mentally. He came out and was on attack mode each and every play. And he told me before the game, Coach, I'm gonna try to get a triple-double. He ended up with 42, 8, and 8, so it was a great showing for him. I thought Luka Garza led the charge, though, from start to finish, from the locker room throughout the game and through all the practices. He just has a certain amount of energy about him. He's a great leader, and that trickles down to your entire roster. So we're excited about this year. We're excited to have Coach DJ Baker, who's done a tremendous job with him and his staff as well. So we have a lot of great things in place. We have a lot of things set up for guys to grow in every aspect of their life, whether it's on the floor or community efforts in Detroit and the surrounding areas. So we're excited about the Motor City Cruise.
Well, thank you for joining us, Rob, number one. And obviously, Detroit native, former men's basketball coach at Eastern Michigan. But I'm super glad you're here so I can pick your brain a little bit. I want to talk about you and Troy Weaver, your relationship. If I'm not mistaken, you've known each other for the last 20-something years. Both assistants for Syracuse, at Syracuse, under Jim Boeheim. But when did you start really realizing, through your relationship with Troy Weaver, his ability to just spot, recognize talent? When did that come to you and you start to be like, he gets it, this guy gets it?
I think it was right away. When we met, we would talk basketball, a lot about life as well. But from the day I met him, and especially during my days at Syracuse, he got a lot of credit for, being the lead recruit and the person who recruited Carmelo Anthony, which led to a national championship. But we always talked about the surrounding pieces and why that championship happened. The Quef Dewaney's, the Josh Paces,
right.
The Hakeem Wargs. Those were the important pieces as well, and it wasn't just Carmelo. And he always encouraged me, you're going out and recruiting, the top-tier guys, but make sure you can get some guys that can go around it as you build the team out and helping Coach Boeheim continue to be successful. So right at that moment, I knew he got it. He went on to Utah and helped them get their franchise back on track. They did a building process with the new, Oklahoma City Thunder franchise, and he went through the same process that we're going through now. Seen it through, and they became a championship caliber level team. But you talk about the Durants and the Westbrooks, but you still have to remember the players in between, the Steven Adams, the Andre Robersons, and guys of that nature who help you continue to win games throughout an NBA season and in the playoff run, trying to get to a championship. So he gets it in all aspects, and really fortunate we met, and really fortunate he took a liking to me and wanted to mentor me and saw something in me, and we've been pretty good friends and like brothers ever since.
Awesome. Well, Rob, tonight is the big night. The season opener. Well, I should say season home opener.
Yes.
At the new facility downtown at Wayne State's campus. Sada Baby will be performing at halftime. And I'll be honest, social media is very deceiving. Obviously, we can show what you want, but my goodness, the facility looks top-notch. It has to be the best facility in the country in terms of all the G League teams.
Yes, for sure. I mean, we're really, really fortunate to have a partnership with Wayne State, President Wilson, and their athletic director, Rob. We were able to, have this partnership and to be able to play in this $30+ million arena. I think it's and will be, or believe it will be the best in the G League. We're opening tonight. We're extremely excited about it. I think it'll be close to being a sellout, but it has all the bells and whistles. The lights outside, the 2 baskets representing the Crews in Wayne State with a basketball court out. So when you walk up, that display is amazing. When you walk in, not to give too much away, but it's really a lot of bright lights and a lot of bells and whistles as you walk into the entryway, and then. The court, and that's something I'm excited about. I talk about our court sponsors, and we talked about it earlier, from UAW to They Say, with Terry Payne, duo with Will Smith, and then Elite Education with Maurice Evans, and obviously Henry Ford Health System is the lifeline, who helped build our practice facility as well. So excited about the partners. Excited about the locker room and how it's all come together. Our VP, LaRonda Burley, has done an unbelievable job, and the entire Motor City Cruise staff has worked countless number of hours over the past 6 months to really bring this together, and I can't thank them enough.
All right, Rob, one more question before we let you skate out of here. We know how busy you are. You guys open up home opener tonight against the Wisconsin Herd. Back-to-back games, actually, I believe, today and tomorrow. 7 o'clock tip-off time. Expectations really for the future, and not in terms of maybe the win-loss results, but just development. What are you guys looking for in terms of how you can contribute, not just short-term success in the G League, but long-term? How are we going to send guys to the league and help really have them open up and see their future opportunities and have them fulfill their dreams of becoming NBA players?
Well, you have to just encourage them to continue to work hard and continue to use this avenue to develop. The G League is in place, and in particular the Motor City Cruise for us, as I mentioned earlier, is to continue to develop, our young guys. This is a unique opportunity because we're in one building, which is our performance center, and we're playing up the street, so it kind of makes it easier for guys to work within our system and understand the symmetry and chemistry between both teams. I think Coach Casey and Coach Baker, with their continued communication, myself and Troy Weaver continuing to communicate and how we want to continue to, whether it's tweak the roster, change the roster, and bring young guys in. I think we have a great situation for us to develop. And again, we can't thank Tom Gores and our leadership team, Untitled, Josh Bartlestein, Mike Zavosky, and everybody for putting this unique opportunity in place. We're excited about it. We're looking forward to a sellout. We're looking forward to Sada Baby performing tonight. And then I'm just thankful to be in the position, being from the Motor City, being from Detroit, born and raised here all my life. This is a great and unique opportunity for myself as well. So I'm extremely thankful, and I'm looking forward to a great night tonight and ultimately a great season, and everybody continues to improve and get better.
Well, thank you, Rob. We're really grateful for your type of leadership and really the leadership and community development that's been going on, I want to say, the last 14, 18 months with everything that's been happening in Detroit, with the Pistons, with the Motor City Cruise. So thank you so much and all of your efforts. I do want to ask you one more thing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Regarding philosophy in terms of, how the G League team translates to the NBA team. So the Pistons, Dwayne Casey has his model of coaching. Is that something that is mimicked or really pushed for at the G League level? Like, hey guys, this is the way we play up at the pros level. We really want to emulate this at the bottom level so these guys can come up maybe a little easier, or is it strictly player development in the standpoint of fundamentals, getting the most out of them that they are? Is it a balance, or is it strictly, this is how I coach, this is how you need to play, this is how we develop our players?
No, we mimic the parent team for sure. DJ Baker, our head coach, has been with Coach Casey over the past 6 seasons. The whole idea was hiring him. I mean, very qualified coach, great communicator, great teacher, but we wanted the symmetry and the synergy and the tech terminology to be the same from the parent team to the Motor City Cruise. So we have that in place. I teased Coach Baker during training camp, and I said, it doesn't look any different. When I'm watching the Motor City Cruise practice, it looks like I'm watching the Pistons practice, which is a good thing.
Yeah. And
then we have a great, individual instruction and player development plan in place for our guys to continue to develop. And it's all about, progress within the games. Sometimes you don't win on the scoreboard, but you take those baby steps. And as long as we continue to see progress through each and every practice and through each and every game, we say that we're doing a great job. Last night we had a big win, obviously, on the road. Cade continues to get better. But I think our overall team is continuing to gel together. And you may not see it in the win and loss column, but we're continuing to get better. And it was exciting to see us get that victory last night on the road. And it's a big week for us, talking Pistons now. But then we want to continue that, same type of theme here tonight for opening night. So we're excited about it, guys, and really excited.
All right, well, Rob, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really, really loved having you on. Would love to have you on anytime soon whenever you're available.
Of course.
Thank you so much, everyone. The Motor City Cruise open up tonight against the Wisconsin Herd, 7 p.m. down at Wayne State. Oh, my goodness. That facility is phenomenal. They play tonight and tomorrow. Get your tickets if you haven't already. Again, Rob Murphy, president of the Motor City Cruise, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll see everybody right after the break.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. Choosing between a 15 or 30-year mortgage can be difficult, which is why we offer the Modern Mortgage, a flexible term that's customized for you. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. That was a great interview, Jeff. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. He is so well-spoken.
Extremely. And I'm a big fan of Rob Murphy. I'm a basketball, I love basketball. It's a favorite sport, so I was a little shooken when I saw him. I'm
He's
a big
a legend.
fan.
He's
if Troy Weaver walked in the
Detroit
street,
native.
Detroit native. He, obviously head coach at Eastern Michigan. Now he's president. He's Troy Weaver's guy, so I'm excited to see what he's done.
Why was this network started? To highlight Detroit, the city of Detroit, and really the state of Michigan, of course. Don't get me wrong, but it was to build and put together a community that can come together and just really talk about sports. Now, you may not like what comes out of my mouth every other day or every day for that matter, but at the end of the day, this is what it's really about. Getting people from the city to come in and really share their thoughts. And I'm so excited for Rob and this basketball team. But moving on, a sensitive subject, to say the least. Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Jeff, our wins, a quarterback stat. And why I'm bringing that up is Jared Goff is now 0-15.
Yeah.
Without Sean McVay as his head coach. Do wins matter? Are they a quarterback stat? Is it damning on Jared Goff?
Well, you got to look at other things. I think it also can be to the detriment of a coach, because you look at Pete Carroll. What is Pete Carroll without Russell Wilson? What is Bill Belichick without Tom Brady? But at the same time, there are situations like Jared Goff, winless without his, Sean McVay, and even Matthew Stafford. You can make the comparison. Only averaged 7 wins a year. We knew that was underperforming considering his talent, and it's mostly due to the dysfunction of the franchise he was a part of. So it goes both ways. it's all individual cases. With Jared Goff's case, 100%. He's reliant. I mean, Sean McVay, the times where Sean McVay would be in his headset telling him, laying out the entirety of the play before it happened. And now with the Detroit Lions, you have Anthony Lynn. It's a big change. Jeff Fisher, big change. And not having a win under those two guys as your quote unquote your head coach or your play caller in this scenario with Anthony Lynn, it's a problem. And Sean McVay, you see what he's able to do now with Matthew Stafford. The quarterback position, it greatly affects whether or not you're winning the game, of course, because the ball's always in their hands every single play. So it's the most significant position, but it really does take all 22 or 11 in this case on the field. It does. But in Jared Goff's instance, you can't sit here and say a quarterback, strictly quarterback is a win stat, because Jared Goff hasn't had success without Sean McVay. He hasn't had success without, that play. There's plenty of other scenarios. There's guys who've had stints and they've had success. They've gone elsewhere and haven't had that same success. So, but it also goes to coaches. So there's isolated cases all over the place. I mean, but in this scenario, yes, Adam, Jared Goff, heavily dependent on his play caller. And we saw it. I mean, Anthony Lynn, he goes hand in hand with his play caller. Anthony Lynn, his performances this year, poorly. I mean, it had multiple halves without scoring, settling for field goals. That's going to affect Jared Goff, of course. If you have a play caller like Sean McVay, it's going to affect Jared Goff. So either way, I mean, of course, Jared Goff's bad. We know this. But having an offensive coordinator like Anthony Lynn doesn't help. So he's going to be relying on a guy like Sean McVay, definitely.
So here's what I think of the quarterback win stat. I think you can learn a lot by looking at it, as long as you're objective. If you just look at the win-loss record, it won't tell you the whole story. Because if you look at Eli Manning, he had a losing record, or if not even.
Yeah.
Throughout his, 12, 14, 15 years in the NFL. But he's a two-time Super Bowl champion, right? You look at, I don't know, let's say, I could use Jared Goff even as an example. 58, 60% win rate in the NFL. Even prior to the Lions, he had a great win-loss record. And he's not that great of a quarterback. And then you look at Stafford, losing record, but you kind of think he's way, way better than Jared Goff. So as long as you're objective and you look at the whole body of work, then you would realize that you can learn something from looking at a quarterback's win stat. So, for example, I could say Kirk Cousins is a 500 quarterback. Well, that's kind of what Kirk Cousins is. That kind of tells me the story, but I also know everything else, the factors of his turnover proneness, his ability to lose, really. It's not a good thing. How often he loses in primetime matchups is a part of it. So he's a 500 quarterback. He'll never get you over the top, but he'll never bring you into a 2-15, 3-14 situation. That's Kirk Cousins. Okay, good. So it can tell a story as long as you're open enough to understand that, it's not everything. You look at players like Tom Brady. Well, Tom Brady's win-loss record is one of the best ever. But so is his passing yards, completion percentage, Super Bowl appearances, Super Bowl wins, playoff record, playoff performances, regular season performances, awards. It all tells a story, but you can learn something. And I think what you're learning from Jared Goff is that he benefited extremely from Sean McVay. And that's just the reality. And you guys can tell me, well, he doesn't have enough weapons and 1, 2, 3, but
that's part of it.
When you look this bad, it can't just be weapons, guys. It can't. Justin Fields is playing better. With probably a very not as good, if not the same type of talent. Well, what does he have? Allen Robinson that has doubled up the whole game, so you're not even seeing him. Darnell Mooney. What tight end do they have? Cole Kmet.
Even
running back David Montgomery?
Mac Jones. I mean, he has Hunter Henry's. We have T.J. Hawkinson, who's significantly better than Hunter Henry. Kendrick Bourne. I mean, what are we doing here? So, it's to your point. It makes perfect sense. I mean,
I want to defend somebody in the chat. Chat. It's one funky Lions fan. He's been a great supporter of the show, and me and him share really the same view on a lot of things. But you guys are missing the point when you're arguing with him. It's not that they didn't or didn't want, whatever the case may be. There was no cap to go get a significant player that would make you significantly better. So what are we doing here? Yes, you guys want to focus on the receivers without realizing he did get anyone at the position. And FYI, I was the only fan that defended Alex Anzalone at the start of the season. Absolutely. even if he brought in an Antonio Brown and a Chris Godwin, let's say, you think the team would be any better? This is a team that lacks 3 fundamental pieces, and that's a good defense, a good quarterback, and you have to say it, a good head coach, because I don't think the head coach is good right now. Hopefully he learns, he gets better, and he improves, and he's a really good coach next year. But this year, he's not making much of an impact. Hyper aggressive on 4th down, putting his teams in bad situations. That's the complete opposite of your job as a head coach. So right now, I don't think there was anything that could have fixed this team in the offseason. This was a rebuild. And it's a rebuild next year. And then in year 3, you better win 9-10 games. Because you went out and got the quarterback, you groomed him, and now you're ready. Or you just go out with a rookie quarterback, but the roster's so damn talented that you can kind of overcompensate, like a New England is. They're 5-4 with a rookie quarterback. It can happen. Do it the right way. And stop arguing about free agency. The Lions have no business in free agency. They are an unattractive destination right now because of the culture. The culture is a losing culture. It's not just about Dan Campbell, kumbaya, I'm gonna go play for him. We're gonna bite kneecaps. No, winning is what helps. So you want to get rid of same old Lions mentality. I told you the formula weeks and weeks ago, and I'll keep saying it. Win 3 divisions over a 10-year span. Go to the playoffs 5, 6, 7 of those years. Finish second in division a majority of the time, not only 3rd and 4th. Do that. Get to an NFC championship game. Then you become a respectable franchise. Stafford had the cap hostage. Dan Campbell is a meathead. I am sorry. I don't think Stafford had the cap hostage. I'll tell you what had the cap hostage. It was Dan Quinn's Bob Quinn's horrible decision-making with the cap. The Trey Flowers signing. The Danny Amendolas. The New England signings were just atrocious. Failing to really pivot. You could have gone to Matthew Stafford and say, hey, we want to renegotiate your contract. Not in a sense of, paying you less or more, but hey, we're gonna put this money out in the future. We're gonna get our cap in shape. We're gonna fix. Your job as a GM is to have a healthy salary cap. Why are the Rams able to have Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Von Miller, etc., etc., etc.? Because they take care of the salary cap. They understand how to maneuver it. Bob Quinn didn't understand that, and now Brad Holmes has to overcome that. That's just a part of it. But there was nothing the Lions could have done this offseason that would have made them a winning product. The fact that you thought they even could be a winning product is part of the problem. But this was always a 3 to 5 win football team this year. And because of the setbacks, you got to think they're a 5 to 7 win team next year. And then year 3, they take the step 9 to 10, 11 wins, maybe. And then year 4, they're division contenders and winners. That's the process. And if you can't do that, Dan Campbell, in 3 to 4 years, then you're not the right guy. Brad Holmes, you're not the right guy. But Brad Holmes' only way to save his job is to put a great roster together, and then you look at the head coach. Well, you're not performing like a Freddie Kitchens, like a Hugh Jackson. And then you're bringing a Kevin Stefanski, and he turns it around for you. There's so many variables that are just unknown, but the fact that we just sit on this it's hilarious. It's just hilarious. But back to Jared Goff. Jeff, he's gone after next season.
100%.
He'll be a backup or he'll be a starter on a really bad team. But he's not the future here. So what more can you ask of him?
Well, right now in this situation with the weapons, in the situation, not even just the weapons, because that's an easy excuse, just the situation defensively, and just the terms of where the Lions are at. He's expected to fail, but you would have thought he would show something, show flashes of something, and he's failed to do so. If anything, he's been even below my expectations, because coming into this season, I actually thought Jared Goff wouldn't play as bad as he's been playing right now. I mean, I'm not thinking Jared Goff's a world beater or better than Stafford, but I thought he'd be what would you call, I guess a decent replacement. I mean, I said 5 wins, so if that gives you any idea what I expect out of Jared Goff, he's been below that. He's been even more bad than I expected, but it comes off the fact that Jared Goff right now mentally is just not in a right place. He needs to go far, far away from L.A., from Detroit. Get out. Go to Washington. Go to go somewhere else. Go to New Orleans with Sean Payton. I don't care. Go anywhere else and see what you have left in the tank. Because in Detroit, it's pretty much over before it started. We know what Jared Goff is in his career. He's a guy who, if you have everything going smoothly around him, like the Rams did, great defense. You got Todd Gurley, the best running back that year, and then you have weapons like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Of course, there's going to be some sort of sustained success. But if everything's not going as well as it went with the Rams, and even the last 2 years, they dropped off with that team, the same team. So with Jared Goff, you already know. You got to go. After this year, you're done. The Lions need to hopefully have a plan, and this ain't going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers type beat where, Ben Roethlisberger has 1 more year left and you don't have a replacement, and you're probably going to go to Mason Rudolph, or in this instance, you go to Blau or Tim Boyle. I'm out of that. They got to address this at some point. Put competition behind Jared Goff. Put someone behind Jared Goff.
I don't agree with competition. Look, I just don't see the point considering he's gone after next season.
Well, I'm saying, you're saying 1 more season.
Well, he's going to be here next year.
That's my point. Put someone behind him next year.
Why? Because you can draft a rookie then. Draft a rookie.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's what I mean by it.
I'm not bringing in a veteran free agent. No, absolutely.
I should have specified. Bring in a rookie behind him to compete with him, so that way you have an easy.
I don't think it's to compete. I think it's just sit, learn the system. Who knows if Anthony Lynn's even the OC next year? And if he is, learn the system, and by week 8, week 10, Jared Goff, you suck already. We all know it. Bring the rookie in. Let's see what we got.
Right. Like, he has right now, what are you going to bench him for Tim Boyle?
It's not worth it.
You're even worse. I mean, or actually, you might be actually slightly better than what Jared Goff would be. But you get a rookie in, and like you said, if he's an unfinished product, like a Trey Lance or whatever the case may be, you let him sit. You're not going to start the guy, but I like having him behind Jared. I like having him.
Tom, draft Matt Corral or Malik Willis. Look, Matt Corral likely goes in the top 10.
I'm passing on
Malik Willis. Just go watch how we looked against Ole Miss, man.
That was the best
Lamar
defense
Jackson
he played all year.
Was afraid of the moment. He stepped up in every game he played in at Louisville. I'm not saying he didn't have bad games, but the one time you play a damn good team, you look that bad.
Against Matt Corral?
Oh, I know. I'm not sold on Malik Willis. I'm just not. If you want to take a flyer on him in the 3rd round, great, but I don't even think he falls. I think Lamar Jackson's going to give a lot of opportunities to a lot of these players. But regardless, we'll move on. We got to talk next Michigan and Michigan State. Chances both teams potentially make the college football playoff. But before we go, I got to tell you about our good friends at Gypsy Vodka. It took exploring 50 different formulas and hosting countless taste tests, but we believe Gypsy Vodka is the best tasting, smoothest vodka on the market. I don't believe it. I know it. My goodness, guys, you know when you have a shot of vodka. Let's be honest. You take the shot, and you know what happens after. You got that burning alcohol feeling down on the throat. Gypsy vodka is a smooth taste. I was really surprised. I'm not one of those guys that likes to just say things. And this is legit. Mike and Adam are doing a heck of a job over there. Michigan State alumni. We're glad to have them part of the network. Try a bottle today and ask for it by the name of Gypsy. And remember, always drink responsibly and support local.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. Jeff is just like...
I'm done. You remember, I was just thinking of the Gypsy Vodka.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, when you're like, man, the taste when it hits the back of your throat. And I'm just thinking, yesterday, I'm like, we're so clippable.
So we're getting sexual here. All right, great.
All right, moving on.
Save it somewhere else. Not here. All right, next, guys, like we promised before we went to break, Michigan and Michigan State. Obviously, there's a lot of uproar about State being behind Michigan at 7, Michigan at 6. I could care less right now, but I think the point is, Jeff, if both teams run the table, do both teams get in? Let's say all the teams run the table ahead of them outside of Bama and Georgia because they play each other. Let's say everybody wins. Oregon wins out. Oklahoma wins out. Cincinnati wins out. by the committee's logic, Cincinnati's getting in.
4% chance to win the Natty. Not to get in the playoffs. To win the Natty, 4% chance. It's absolutely ridiculous.
What do you think first about Michigan's chances to make? Let's start with State actually, because they control their own destiny.
Definitely.
They are in the driver's seat, not Michigan. State and Michigan both still have to play Ohio State, so that's a given. If Michigan State wins out, they're in. Everyone can shut the hell up. Fair?
Fair.
But you have to remember, if Michigan State beats Ohio State, well, that's kind of hurts that win. If Michigan wins at the end of the year, say, oh, well, they already lost to Ohio State. They already lost to Oregon. It's a 2-loss Ohio State team. Doesn't bring that cachet of a 1-loss Ohio State. A big difference.
Right.
But regardless, your thoughts on Michigan State and their chances to make the college football playoff?
Well, according to ESPN, the 2% chance you're giving Michigan State to make the playoffs is kind of disrespectful. I mean, you're giving Oklahoma and Notre Dame a better chance. And I get it in terms of, if they win out, this is kind of, they're speaking of what their expectations are for Michigan State, because already this year, I mean, the expectations weren't high. They've overachieved greatly. And I think that has a lot to do with the 2% chance of making the playoff, because that is expecting a loss to either, maybe a Penn State or a Ohio State. But Michigan, I think, has the best chance easily, because their only loss, if they win out and they beat Ohio State, they beat a Penn State, they take care of business on the road and in Ann Arbor, their only loss would be to a very good Michigan State team who, yes, they threw that game 30-14, and like the committee was talking about yesterday, they have a better team. They have a better overall team on both sides of the ball, whatever the case may be, or on defensively, whatever they said. Michigan definitely has the better chance. They have a 25% chance to make the college playoff. But is it disrespectful, though, Adam, the 2% chance they're giving Michigan State? And they have Oklahoma State at 14%. They have Oregon at 3%. So 1% more than Michigan State, and Notre Dame at 20%. So the 18% more than Michigan State, lowest out of all these teams.
Well, you look at Cincinnati and Notre Dame's schedule; they're cakewalks.
So that gives them the right. That gives them
They're playing the mighty Navy, as if Navy are showing up with actual weapons, and you gotta just. Yeah, this is what you schedule. This is what you schedule. Congratulations, you deserve to be in the college football playoff. It makes no sense to me. Michigan and Michigan State, I think, are in a good position. Both. All they can do is control what's in front of them, which is Penn State and Maryland. Michigan State, go beat Maryland. Michigan, go on the road, beat Penn State. And hopefully Cincinnati drops a game. Hopefully Oregon drops a game. And if those two drop a game, I see a real good chance that two Big Ten teams can get in, because I don't think the committee has bought into Oklahoma. All these years, Oklahoma has been 1-loss, Big 12 champions, even undefeated at times, but they just go to the playoff and they get walloped. It's not a good product. So I think the committee is telling you everything they want to tell you about Oklahoma. Even if you're 8-0, we have you all the way at 8. We think 1-loss teams are better than you. So I think there's a chance that Big Ten can sneak in two teams. I think that's the way the committee is positioning this. Now, having said that, I think the only way it really happens is if State and Michigan win out. Because I don't think Ohio State can beat Michigan State and then go lose to Michigan. That just means Michigan is going in if they win the Big Ten championship in Indianapolis. That just means one Big Ten team gets in. But if Michigan State and Michigan win out, I don't see why the committee wouldn't put both in, given the results I just pointed out, Jeff.
No, definitely. The committee this year, we talk about inconsistency. I can't sit here and predict what the committee is going to decide. I mean, if you have Notre Dame at 20%, Oklahoma State higher percentage, come on. I mean, this is the committee. This is what they decide. Cincinnati, they're giving these guys a higher percentage to win the Natty than Michigan, or even you could throw other teams in that aura. I mean, Michigan State you can throw in the Natty. I don't think they're going to get close to that. But even giving them respect, Cincinnati, they're undefeated, yes, but my God, their schedule's been a cakewalk, like you just said. Look at the teams that Michigan will play. If you look at the entirety, by the end of the year, they're going to have played Michigan State, Penn State, obviously Ohio State. All three of those opponents tougher than anyone Cincinnati's played. They have one good win over Notre Dame, that's it, and they have a higher percentage to not only make the playoffs more than Michigan and Michigan State, but a higher percentage to win the Natty. I'm done negotiating with this committee in terms of what they deem valid and not valid. The biggest thing is Michigan State and Michigan both control their own destiny. I mean, I think Michigan at this point are waiting on State. Are they going to lose? Are they going to finish the season with 1, maybe 2 losses? Did they lose to Ohio State? What does Michigan do? Can they take care of business on the road? Can they beat Ohio State? Which I think between the two teams, I still think Michigan has a better chance to beat Ohio State just because of what they have defensively. They have guys that can get after C.J. Stroud and a better secondary because, Michigan State secondary is going to get obliterated by Ohio State. I mean, you saw it against Purdue in that pass offense. It's just realistic. So the fact that you're giving Cincinnati the credit in this scenario over Michigan and the body of work, they threw a lead to Michigan State. I'm not going to sit up here and say, I argued yesterday that they should be ranked behind State, but nonetheless, I can still acknowledge the fact they have a better football team overall. So the committee doesn't make any sense. This college football stuff, we're going to have to wait and get a bigger sample size in terms of by the end of the year. You're going to have to get the whole schedule. What does these teams finish with? Does Michigan take care of business on the road against Penn State? Assumingly so. But will they? Will State take care of who they need to take care of, or will they lose more? If they have Purdue as a loss, possibly Penn State as a loss, it's not going to look good for State. So it's yet to be determined. But I think we can both agree, Michigan, I don't know how you have Michigan, at least right now, Cincinnati's not a more complete team. I don't give a damn what people think. And you look at the schedule they played. They beat Notre Dame. And we talked about this yesterday. Kudos. You want me to throw your birthday party? We'll give you cake and ice cream for beating Notre Dame when Michigan is over here. Their only loss, I think, if they beat Ohio State, which would be ideal for Jim Harbaugh, their only loss is to a good Michigan State football team. That's what you're taking away from it. I think State loses to Ohio State. So it's going to get interesting, Adam. Towards the end of the year, I think the Ohio State game for both of these teams will be the deciding factor because Penn State, they might both take care of business against Penn State. We'll see. Well, look, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for either of these teams. I think the team that's most in the driver's seat is Ohio State. Definitely. Because I just the cachet. It's Ohio State. They've always run the table. But if Michigan State beats Ohio State, that's a big problem for Michigan. Yeah, it is. Because now Michigan has to win out, and they have to pray that they get in at the 4 spot with the committee. Mm-hmm. That's their only scenario. Because if Michigan State beats Penn State, they're likely running the table, and they are likely going to Indianapolis and winning. So that's just the truth. I'm not sure. Look, we can all get upset about the rankings, and I do disagree that Cincinnati shouldn't be 5. I don't agree based on the committee's logic that Michigan should be ahead of Michigan State, but it's all irrelevant to the point where it's the final rankings are what matters. Right. But what concerns me is we're rewarding Cincinnati for hanging in there late with Tulane 2 weeks ago, 15-12, heading into the fourth quarter. And now we're praising them for beating the almighty Tulsa, the best team in college football. Let's all be honest here. We want to talk about, we want to make it an even playing field. We want to give everybody an opportunity. That's fine. Cincinnati's going to the Big 12. Congratulations. But you're not in the Big 12 yet. And even if you are in the Big 12, Texas and Oklahoma are leaving it. So how about you schedule a real SEC team? How about you schedule a real Big Ten team, not just Notre Dame? How about you schedule Michigan State? How about you schedule Ohio State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Purdue? What wins outside of Notre Dame does Cincinnati have? You have 8 measly wins and 1 quality win. Notre Dame has multiple quality wins. They beat Purdue. They lost to Cincinnati. They've beaten Wisconsin. They beat 2 Big Ten teams that are damn good. I can make the argument more for a 1-loss Notre Dame than I can for an undefeated Cincinnati. It's so inconsistent. That's just what drives me nuts, is the committee isn't consistent in communication. What are you trying to tell me? You're telling me right now that Cincinnati, given everybody in front of them loses a game, will be in the college football playoff if they run the table. That's what you're telling me. I think that's the wrong message, because I know for sure if Cincinnati runs the table, that the only way they get in is if Oregon loses, because there's going to be a Big Ten champion in there, whether it's Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State. So there's only 1 spot left, because Bama likely is getting in. Yeah, 100%. They have the cachet. They just are. Sorry, guys. That's the truth. I may not like it, but it's the truth. So there's 1 spot left. Who are you giving it to? The undefeated Cincinnati? The 1-loss Pac-12 champion, or the 1-loss or potentially undefeated Big 12 champion? Good luck, committee, because I have no idea what the hell you are thinking or doing. I just don't. Yeah, it's a puzzle no one could solve with the committee and what they decide. So it's yet to be determined. But the Cincinnati thing it just bugs me how overrated Does the committee not look at difficulty of schedule, number one, or number two, Cincinnati and what they've done against Navy or against Tulsa? If Cincinnati makes the playoffs, that game is going to be over quickly, no matter who they verse. So it's good luck with that committee.
I would love to see all these top teams in college football, the top 7 outside of Cincinnati, play Cincinnati's schedule and see what they would look like.
Or play Cincinnati.
Michigan would run for 500 yards a game. Michigan State would still be undefeated. Alabama would have a win-loss margin of 300. And, Georgia would probably have a plus-minus of, maybe 1,000. They would win every game by 100.
I think the top 8 teams in college football beat Cincinnati. I mean, you can go down the rankings. Top 7, top 8 of them, they all beat Cincinnati.
We talk about body of work. I don't get it. They're not going to lose. They're not going to lose to Auburn. Texas A&M just beat Auburn. I think Bama get by Auburn. I think it's bad if Georgia beats Bama in the sense that Bama's out. I don't think you can put a 2-loss Bama in who aren't even going to represent the SEC in the championship game. So Bama loses another game this year, they're out of it. But if they don't, they're in, guys. They just are. And I'll take a 1-loss Georgia team in the national champion, in the college football playoff game as well. So I'm getting 2 SEC teams if Bama wins. It's that plain and simple. So now I got to give a Big Ten champion in, and then Cincinnati. Unbelievable committee. Get better. I don't like this at all. We do better. Seriously, we gotta hit the break. When we get back, we've got to talk about the Detroit Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Should they be using DeAndre Swift in more of a capacity? Can they? Is he hurt? Etc. Etc. We'll do all that after the break. But before we go, I got to tell you about everybody at the Folding Warehouse in Hamtramck, home of the original bowling pin game called Bowling. Host your corporate party, team building event, or just come in with family and friends. There are 2 ways to play. A $10 unlimited open play session. You can stay the whole time. We are open throughout the day, and of course a private lane reservation up to 10 people for $120 for 2 hours. They have over 100 beers, a $2 Mystic beer machine, and multiple bars throughout the facility. You can bring your own food or have it delivered. Come and get your fold on. Check it out, foldingwarehouse.com. Again, that's foldingwarehouse.com in Hamtramck.
Tony is a 3rd-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It's 9:36 Eastern here in Michigan. The weather kind of looks good from our point of view. It's sunny, clouds, clear skies a little bit to an extent.
It's like we beat Jalen Green and the clouds opened up. You know what I mean?
Jalen Green
it just got beautiful outside.
Yeah, Jalen Green's a bitch. So we're not going to go there. I'm glad I can say that without getting in trouble. Having said that, should the Lions, Jeff, utilize DeAndre Swift more in the upcoming game against Pittsburgh? Are they holding him back? Do you think he's just not efficient running? I think we kind of debunked all this. 4.6 yards a carry, 2nd in the team in receiving. What do you do with DeAndre Swift heading into Pittsburgh?
It's tough. I mean, the Eagles game was the game for me. I talked about it last week. I mean, Jamal Williams, this was the game for him to show against a Philadelphia team who, their defensive front. Pittsburgh has a better defensive front, no doubt, in terms of stopping the run. You saw what they kind of gave up yards to David Montgomery's first game back from injury, 13 for 60 whatever, 60-something yards. So he had a good game. DeAndre Swift, I want to say he's primed to get a majority, still is 20, 25 targets in total in terms of touches, rather. I think he'll still do that. Last game was a little disappointing, 12 carries, 27 yards. 2.25 yards a carry, and even on the receiving side of things, he wasn't involved at all. So 5 for 24. So I want to see more because he is a weapon, man. And Jared Goff, if this guy's used correctly, which you've seen what he's been able to do all year, leading all running backs in yards to a certain extent. I don't know if Alvin Kamara clips them in that, but he was. DeAndre Swift has talent, no doubt. We all agree on that, and he should be utilized more. I did argue that. My worry is you don't want to. The guy is suffered injuries, soft tissue injuries. So I worry, especially this game. You're finally giving him. He hasn't had over 14 carries all year. So do I want to see him get anywhere from 15 to 18 carries? Of course. I mean, test him out. Use him as a workhorse. You're going to need to run the ball anyway. Jared Goff's not going to throw you to victory. So why not? You get Jamar Jefferson some touches. You saw what he was able to do against the Eagles. Scored your only touchdown. So Jamar Jefferson's going to get utilized a whole lot more. It's going to take into DeAndre Swift's snaps, and I'm okay with it. Jamar Jefferson, I think he's a fantastic player. Do I want to see DeAndre Swift build off of games? I mean, he hasn't had over, 51 yards rushing all season? Yeah. Want to see him go for 75, 100 yards. Want to see him eclipse that. I don't know when we'll see it. I think the best scenario is behind us. He had a couple opportunities to really go off. I was disappointed in the Minnesota game. That was his career high for the season, 11 for 51. Should have got more touches in that game. And even going back to Chicago, 8 for 16. He couldn't get anything going. So it just depends. I mean, will he be utilized more as a receiver this game? Will he be shut down? I don't know. But I want to see DeAndre Swift get more touches. He absolutely deserves it. If he gets injured, then at this point, the guy's injury prone. I mean, we've seen all the soft tissue injuries, the things he suffered. He gets banged up, which to his credit, it's normal in this league, but to a certain extent, you want your second round pick he's only been in the league for around 2 years. So yeah, 2 years, his second year in the league. So you want him to be healthy for the entirety of the season, and that comes with using him, giving him more than 14 carries a game. Testing him out, use him a little bit as a workhorse, and this is the perfect game to do it. No Jamal Williams, still out with the injury he's suffering, so it really comes down to how much do they use Jamar Jefferson, because he's going to get utilized, and it's going to factor into DeAndre Swift's touches. So it just depends, man. I'm hoping for a bounce back game. Let's get over 75 yards. That's my goal. Najee Harris didn't play well for the Pittsburgh Steelers last game against the Bears, so I get why he didn't play well against the Bears. I mean, they're a good defensive front, but I want to see him get utilized more, Adam. And in terms of rushing, get him over 14 carries. That's his career high, or not career high, but season high so far, 14 carries. Can we get more than that? I mean, that's all I'm asking. Get the man a little bit of get him 15, 16, 17 carries.
Well, I think this game is going to be difficult. Pittsburgh has a very stout run defense. Having said that, I think they're vulnerable coming out of the backfield in terms of passing. I want to see 6-7 receptions for DeAndre Swift. I really want to see Jared Goff give this offense a chance to move the chains, not just with a little dink and dunk underneath route to a wide receiver, or even focusing and keying on a Hockenson. We've seen how deadly DeAndre Swift can be on the screen. So really tonight, Pittsburgh likes to blitz, and if you can catch him at the right time and call that screen, you potentially have a house call. So be creative with DeAndre Swift. Get him out in motion. Get him in the slot. Have him run out quick out routes. Like, he can beat his linebacker matchup. He's that capable. 6-7 receptions, I think, is the goal for this weekend. But like you just said about Jamar, what do you got in him?
Yeah.
7th round pick. Find out. Because the one game he did play so far this year, where he had a significant amount of touches,
he scored.
But not only he scored, he looked good.
Yeah.
He looked like, he can play on Sunday. I'm not saying he's the best back in the NFL, but he can at least play on Sunday. He can contribute. He can get me a first down. He can get me multiple first downs. He may even get me a touchdown. Who knows? I think there's something there. I think you can still balance DeAndre Swift, but I think long-term, you got to give him more than 14 carries a game.
Yeah.
You got to get him at 16, 17, 18. Give him a chance. And I'm not saying it always has to be inside the gaps, inside the trenches. Run
outside
run
zones.
Tosses. Run to the outside. Get him in space. Let him run to the sideline. Let him avoid taking a hit by running out of bounds. It's fine. You don't always have to run him up the tackles, but give him a chance too. Let him get his game going.
Put him
maybe
in space.
If he finds a groove, maybe the offense finds it. You haven't been able to figure out how your offense can click 8 games into the year. Let's try something. Try something different. Give me more carries. Give me more passes to DeAndre Swift. Get him a total of 22, 23 touches. And see how that helps the offense. And if it doesn't, okay, we know that likely isn't a contributing factor. And then we try something else. But don't just sit week after week doing nothing. Try something, Jeff. Am I missing something?
No, you're not missing anything. And I will say this as well. Looking back to last year, Darrell Bevell, you can say what you want about Darrell Bevell and his inability to run the football. He had, let's look at DeAndre Swift, some of his big games last year. 16 carries, went for 81 yards against Washington. He had 14 carries for 116 yards against Jacksonville. I get it's Jacksonville, but at the same time, they let him loose. 15 carries, 67 yards. Like, this guy has it. If you give him over 14 carries, he usually produces, and it's all about rhythm. If you're giving a guy 10 carries spaced out through the entirety of the game, it's hard to get in a rhythm. And yes, you shouldn't run him up the gap. Don't throw him into. I mean, the guy's 5'8". Put him in space because he can make people miss, and that's what the Lions need to do this week. Because if they use him correctly, I think he could be a weapon. Definitely, put some points on the board for the Lions. Do they win? Probably not. But DeAndre Swift can still look good. He could still produce. So that's what we're looking for. I mean, let's just get DeAndre Swift out in space and let him work like he did with the Rams. I mean, you saw what he was able to do. First reception, took it to the house. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, Jamar Jefferson, man, I'm excited to see him. It's going to be a bigger workload for him. If no Jamal Williams, he's going to get the ball earlier, and we'll see.
Thank goodness Matthew Stafford didn't stay and Darrell Bevell wasn't the head coach. I don't know where you're going at with this comment, but not hiring Bevell as head coach is the reason why Stafford didn't stay. The reason why Stafford didn't stay is because he didn't want to be part of another rebuild. This team needed to rebuild. He played for you for 12 years. He gave you everything he had, played hurt, did everything he could have done, etc., etc. Was he the perfect, ideal quarterback here? No. But neither was your organization. Neither was your head coaching. Well, what was the head coach, Hall of Famer, potential innovator, something special that you gave Matthew Stafford ever at head coach? You never did. Jim Caldwell? Jim Schwartz? Matt Patricia?
And now you want Darrell Bevell?
Darrell Bevell? That's what's going to keep Stafford? Sean McVay. And I know Kyle Shanahan's having a down year, but I'm still bought into him. He's a damn good head coach, and the Niners would be foolish to get rid of him. But Kyle Shanahan, even a Brandon Staley, I don't care if
Matt
it's year
Rule.
one.
Throw in Matt Rule in
even
there.
a Matt Rule, somebody that you can kind of rejuvenate your quarterback with. Look what Matt LaFleur has done for Aaron Rodgers. As responsible as Aaron Rodgers is for the success of the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur walking in and earning the respect of Aaron Rodgers is what's caused back-to-back NFC Championship appearances and now a 7-2 start to the season. That simple. Why do I think Pete Carroll should move on? Simple. I think you got to give Russell Wilson a young, innovative head coach. You got to try it. Give him a Kellen Moore. Go get him a Joe Brady. See what you got there. This Pete Carroll experiment, it's run its course. He'll get a gold jacket. He deserved it. But that's it. That's it. It's end of story. There's nothing more simple than that. And you guys, Sean McVay right now, what he's doing with Stafford, you know, we can clown him for the two bad performances against Tennessee and Arizona. But you'll be able to judge Stafford come the end of the contract with Los Angeles. Did he win playoff games? Did he win the division? Did he get to an NFC Championship game? Did he get to a Super Bowl? Those are his expectations. He'll tell you by the end of the year what happened or not. Everything will play out itself. But to sit here and say that Stafford was the only reason. Honestly, if I was that good of a quarterback and I was a top 10, top 12 quarterback and I had to deal with Jim Caldwell, Jim Schwartz, and Matt Patricia, what the hell do you want from me? I need help too. Brady needed Belichick just like Belichick needed Brady. That's simple. I'll never understand it. I'll never understand it. LaFleur, guys, don't undersell it. The guy's a damn good coach. Go see what he did versus the Arizona Cardinals. Go look what he did without Aaron Rodgers against the Chiefs. Do you need more of a sample size? Just tell me what you need from Matt LaFleur outside of 2 NFC Championship appearances in his first 2 seasons. If that's not enough for you, I don't know what to tell you. Because last I checked, Aaron Rodgers has been to a total of how many NFC Championships? 5? And last I checked, 2 of them are with Matt LaFleur in his first 2 seasons. How funny and ironic is that? I love how LaFleur drafted Love and now live with it. LaFleur didn't draft Love. Last I checked, the GM makes the decisions and the coaches pick for it. And I'm sorry, you can make a mistake when you've been to 2 NFC Championships. Give me a head coach who takes the Lions to 2 NFC Championships game, 2 NFC Championship games, and I will gladly say he made a mistake. He took Jordan Love, shouldn't have. We can all agree, move on, trade him, get past it. We got to figure something else out. Bill Belichick wasn't perfect at drafting. Pete Carroll wasn't. Sean McVay hasn't been. What are you doing? Where are you going? Andy Reid hasn't been. Where are you going with this? Like, as if everybody in the world is perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Get this BS out of here. The Packers have never missed the playoffs. That's not true. It's actually incredibly wrong, but regardless. Regardless. Anyways, we got to hit the break. When we come back, we got some Thursday night football to talk about. I am ready for tonight's game. I got a lot of fantasy implications going on tonight. I will be drinking a nice Heineken, shot of vodka, and maybe some Oreos. See what I'm in the mood for tonight. We got Thursday night football to talk about, but before we go to break, I got to tell you about the Lions-Steelers pregame show we are going to be hosting down at O'Toole's in Royal Oak from 11 to 1 p.m. Braylon Edwards, Ryan Armani, Tom Mazaway, Jade from Riff, Kennedy Broadwell, and much more will be there live, including Stick and Joey, for the pregame show on the Woodward Sports Network and 101.1 The Riff. It'll be a pregame show between the Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Come and join us at O'Toole's in Royal Oak. It's going to be a great time. And don't miss Anson and Stick for the 2-minute warning where they start their post-game show. Every 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter. We all know the memorable moments they have together. That's down at the Brass Rail, so you can head down to the Brass Rail during the game to watch the game along with Stick and Anson. It's a great time. Everybody, don't miss out on Sunday. We'll see you after the break.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10 and a half months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
Hire a graduate
of Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Back to the morning Woodward show here on the Woodward Sports Network. If Matt LaFleur is responsible for Aaron Rodgers, then Adam Gase is responsible for Peyton Manning. One, Adam Gase wasn't the head coach when Peyton Manning was dominating. Number two, yeah, not even. He was the quarterback's coach.
Yeah,
like,
he was in his ear. He was in his ear.
Oh my goodness, guys, you're so funny. You're so funny. Tell me why the Packers had 3 losing seasons in the previous 5 years prior, regardless of injuries. I mean, this is funny. I like when our Chad does this, but it's okay. I'll stay here and I'll defend Matt LaFleur, and you guys can you think he's bad, and we can leave it at that. Thursday night football, Jeff. Miami, Baltimore. One. Before we get into game predictions, what we expect. Talk to me about the MVP frontrunner himself, who I think isn't getting enough credit this year from national media. He's getting a lot of credit from this show, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, if you look at Lamar, his ability to throw the football has progressed significantly this year. What does he have through the sample size thus far through 9 weeks? He's at about a little over, let me double check so I'm messing this up, over 2,000 yards, 2,209 yards. He's 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's the most through this point of the season he's had his whole career. He's throwing the football, and he's still making plays with his feet. Right now, on the rush, he has 600 yards through 8 games. He's already on pace to eclipse his big 2019 MVP year. So it really has to do with the fact that Lamar Jackson's progression, man, is just he's on a different level. And right now, and the injuries the Ravens have suffered, the narrative's on his side. He's, in my opinion, it's Stafford. It's a 2-man race right now. Lamar, it's Stafford. And coming off the game Stafford had last week against the Tennessee Titans, it significantly boosts Lamar Jackson's chances. And his ability to run the football, their run game depleted. They have Devonta Freeman running the football for him, and Latavius Murray. It's honestly a depleted backfield.
May I stop you? Because our chat is full retard right now. I don't even know if I can say that. But this is ridiculous.
What's happening?
They're insane. You guys need to check yourselves into an insane asylum. Let's see what Mike McCarthy Matt LaFleur can do without Aaron Rodgers. Well, my friends, the 3 years prior to Matt LaFleur showing up, the Packers were 10-6, first in the division. 7-9, third in the division. 6-9-1, third in the division. Matt LaFleur comes in, and he didn't get better. They got extremely better. They were 13-3, and now they're 7-2. What in the hell are you guys talking about? What in the hell are you seeing that I'm not? If Matt LaFleur coming in from taking over a 7-9 and 6-9-1 team the 2 years prior, and to making them 26-6 over their first 2 seasons isn't a sign of a good coach, I don't know what the hell is. Then every coach in the NFL sucks. That's the reality. Everybody sucks. Sean Payton, you suck. Bill Belichick, you suck. They all suck. Holy crap. Back to Lamar Jackson. I think he's an MVP candidate. Overcoming the injuries that team he's had to overcome with that team. John Harbaugh, I think, second in Coach of the Year, only behind Cliff Kingsbury. He's done a hell of a job with that team. I am in love with this Baltimore Ravens team. They're doing a good job. They just are.
They just need to stay, obviously positive in the win-loss category. But they've had some close ones. They snuck out against the Lions with that 66-yarder. The Rams are going to have wins. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to produce wins. They're probably going to have 13, 14 wins this season, in my opinion, 12 at the lowest. And you look at the Ravens. I don't know. They're probably going to finish with 11, 12 wins, maybe. And if the Rams have more wins and Stafford statistically is just off the charts, it's like, who do you give it to at this point, Adam? Like, I guess the MVP, the storyline.
The MVP right now, it's got to be.
Do you think Lamar can stay with this? Like, the Ravens can keep this success?
I don't know. That's the problem. But I think today he's the most valuable player in the NFL.
Definitely.
And then I think second, you probably got to give it to Brady. Third's got to be Stafford. Fourth has got to be Kyler. Fifth has got to be Derek Carr or Dak Prescott or any of these guys. I don't really care. But that's your list. That's really your short list. I'm just going to keep reading comments in the chat. Let's see. LaFleur and their prize Love put up 7 points. Love put up 0-7-7 in his 3 starts. I think you're missing the ball here, buddy. I really think you are, Rush. We usually agree on a lot of things, but Rodgers missed the playoffs in 2018. Yeah, so that debunks your theory of they never missed the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers when he started. So let's take that out of the way. You lost that one. It is a sign. When a head coach... Is Kevin Stefanski not a... Wait, Rush, answer this. Is Kevin Stefanski a good coach, yes or no? I'm waiting. Is Kevin Stefanski a good coach? If he is, why is it that he can take over a horrible Cleveland Browns team win-loss record-wise and then turn them into 11-5 playoff winners? Why? But Matt LaFleur does a very similar thing, but he has a better quarterback, but a less complete roster. But he's got the quarterback, but the roster isn't as talented. And then they do a great job of drafting on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if you're going to give Matt LaFleur credit for that. You clearly want to dog him for Jordan Love, but you don't want to dog or give him praise for the job he's done on the defensive side of the ball. And then going 13-3, and now starting the season 7-2. And one of those losses coming without Aaron Rodgers, they played a damn close game. I just think, I don't get it at all. We can't act like LaFleur had nothing to do with drafting Love and that the GM... No, Matt LaFleur, I'm sure, had a lot to do with drafting Love. You can make mistakes, but don't sit there and tell me that because he drafted Jordan Love, he's not a good coach anymore. Are you kidding me? What about all the defensive backs and secondary players they've drafted in Matt LaFleur's time? How about those players? How about the edge rushers? How about the linebackers? They've done a good job collectively of building this team. Did they make a mistake with Jordan Love? I think we can all acknowledge that. Mm-hmm. But why is it that Arizona can make a mistake on drafting Josh Rosen and then trading him, hiring a new coach, and drafting Kyler Murray #1 the next year? Good teams, great teams, make mistakes and they don't double down on them. Bad teams double down on their mistakes. They made a mistake with Jordan Love. Congratulations. I will not give him credit for defensive drafts. Of course you won't. Of course, he still has to prove himself. Back-to-back NFC Championship appearances, 2 division titles, likely to win the division a 3rd straight year, likely to go 13-4, 14-3, something along those lines. He's not a good coach. He needs to prove himself. Smith guys were pickups. I know. Everything that doesn't fit your narrative, we have to throw out. I totally understand. Jeff, walk me through your prediction for tonight's game. Baltimore and Miami. Who wins? Give me the final score.
Depends. I think Tua is in a similar position he was last week. He's banged up with the injured finger. I think Jacoby Brissett's probably going to start. Tua will be there as the backup. Listen, I think the Ravens get it done. They're going to absolutely beat the brakes off this team just because, you saw what the Ravens compete to, they'll go against a Minnesota Vikings team. They'll go down early. They'll come back. Against the Dolphins, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think the Ravens are going to take the lead early and because this Miami defense has been actually disappointing this year. And talk about the job Brian Flores, a guy who's defensive oriented. I think it's their game to step up, even with Jacoby Brissett. But I think the Ravens win significantly. I would say 31-14 14, 31-17.
All right, I'm going to
maybe.
go a little closer. Thursday night football, short week, not enough time to prep. I'm going to go 27-23. Baltimore pulls it out.
Okay.
We have a few minutes, so I'm going to end the show on this. Easy said, he's not a bad coach. Wouldn't be my first pick of the litter, though. What's the sign of a good coach? What's your narrative, guys? What's your qualification? Isn't going on the road and beating Arizona without Devontae Adams and marquee players, isn't that the sign of a good coach? Aaron Rodgers wasn't special that night. The game plan was. The scheme was. You guys kidding me? I love how unproven he is. He's an unproven coach. 33-8 in 3 seasons.
Most wins through
2
40
NFC
games.
Championship appearances. He's an unproven coach. It blows my mind.
I get
it blows my mind. I'm sure you think Jim Caldwell and Jim Schwartz are probably better than
This
him.
is what I'll give of that argument. I get the point of we don't know him without Aaron Rodgers. I get it, but you know what he's been able to do in terms of game planning and getting his team ready, play calling. Like he gets it. I mean, first coach regardless. Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, yeah, they won a Super Bowl. This success, I mean, Matt LaFleur through 40 games. He's one of the only coaches to have the record he has. It's significant. It says a lot about your ability to call plays. I mean, you can't let that slide.
If we're going to give him credit for game planning the Chiefs, shouldn't we give him credit for what he did against the Cardinals?
2 NFC championship.
The way he ran A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, put them out of the backfield, put them in the slot, gave Aaron Rodgers easy throws to make. No, it's all Aaron Rodgers. I just don't get what we're doing here, but. Guys, we gotta go. It's 9:59. I want to wrap up by giving a very special shout out to our very own Darren McCarty. 1-year anniversary of him being sober. Congratulations, Darren McCarty.
He's a big inspiration.
From everybody
man.
here on the morning show and at the Woodward Sports Network, we're so honored to have you part of this team.
Love Darren.
And this network. There's not a better guy that deserves the happiness and really the strides you've made over the last year. So a big love and thank you for. A big love and thank you to Darren McCarty for everything he does, not only for the network, for people outside of it, his relationship with the community. There's not a better guy, and I'm so glad he's sober, and I'm so glad that him, out of all people, is where he's at today. I'm really proud of him, and I feel really honored that I even know him.
Yeah,
so,
I agree with you. He's the easiest person to root for, a really genuine person.
Absolutely.
I mean, the minute I started working here as an intern, showed me nothing but respect. So, love you, Darren. Big fan of you.
Thank you guys so much for joining the Morning Woodward Show today. Thank you so much. We will catch up with you tomorrow. Kennedy back. It's Friday. We got a lot of football to talk about. Lions football, college football, so much to talk about tomorrow. Excited for tomorrow's show. Thank you for joining. Everybody in the chat for volunteering and communicating with us. Thank you so much. Even if we disagree, I still appreciate it. It's always a good time. Thank you, and have a good rest of your Thursday.